Hey, everyone, and welcome back to today's first round of semifinal elimination. We're watching Cloud9 HyperX up against TeamQ here in this best of one. Let's see who can win out and move on to the grand finals. Will it be C9 for the third week in a row, or will TeamQ have an upset here? The vastly majority of you are actually favoring C9 in chat right now, so we'll see how things turn out today. Let's cover who's playing what, where they're going for what team. The bottom side up, the blue side, TeamQ. Poang is already so far ahead. He is the marathon sprinter of his team on Sobek. Of course, Proxecute in the jungle with Guan Yu. We've got NQ in the solo lane with Loki. Real Z on her, playing Hunter. Captain Twig, of course, on Zeus in the mid lane across the way. C9, Smack playing Artemis in the Hunter role, starting with that physical bot. Sayo on Agni in the mid lane, as well as Sun Touch playing that Sun Wukong here. Frostiak on Bastet, as well as Zalia playing Raw. We're getting underway.
So Poang has to be like onomatopoeia for something. It just sounds like bang, and it just has that kind of ring to it. Like maybe that's the sound that Sobek makes when he gets a pluck, right? It goes bang, and that's why he named himself that.
He says it out loud.
As we were mentioning during the downtime between the game here, some interesting itemization from Cloud9 HyperX, and this stinks of Sayo. You have Red Pot going on to Smack here with Destol and Boots 1, and Suntouch going to go Boots 1, and these are, of course, the damage-based boots, so we'll probably see Ninja Tabi come out from him. And Eye of Providence 2 at level 1. Why not?
Right. Yeah, that early start there, reducing the cooldown, of course, and giving him a little bit more ward coverage and less reliance on it. He's also going to start with four pots on Sun Wukong, as well as 2 mana pots there to keep himself alive. And it's looking like they just want to get really aggressive there. Blue buff started up here. Smack's going to pick that one up. Of course, does have that physical pot active. Now, keep in mind, Artemis is starting with no consumable, so if he gets plucked here, gets forced back, he's going to get a lot of trouble, but does a lot of damage. Charge spray on Sun Touch here. Jingle Bang coming out here, some shots coming through. Artemis, notably, not really harassed at all, and honestly, this favors C9 a lot if they're going to focus on Sun Touch, because Smack is just going to sit in the back, use that Death Toll and heal up, use that physical pot for the extra little bit of damage. Mid lane, we have Zeus up against Sayo. Sayo and Artie. Sayo, notably, a very, very passive player when he wants to be, so I don't know if Captain Twig is able to get a lot of kills here, but he's certainly going to look for them if he sees them.
He is not interested in dying. He is loaded out with beads here. So the dash giving you CC immunity as well as those beads. Curiously enough, against the Guan Yu, it's fairly easy to dodge the horse with Agni's dash unless he kind of comes out of jungle just and then hops up the horse to stun you. So Sayo playing exceptionally passive today. It's going to be beats to deal with the Zeus stun as well as that Guan Yu coming in out of the jungle. So hopefully that works out for him and he's able to kind of hit that timing that he's looking for in the kind of, I guess, probably that Void Stone Pen Boots where he's going to be able to really burst down Captain Twig with a gank from Frostiak. The Kitty's keeping him slowed down. Left side lane, it's pretty much Cloud9's lane right now as they have the superior push with that Red Pot Artemis. Right side lane, I don't know how NQ's going to win this lane against Ralph. I really just don't know. Like, Decoy, he's just going to throw a heal on top of the Decoy, and until you have max rank Decoy, it's not going to start one-shotting the archers, so it's going to be pretty difficult for NQ, I think.
Regardless of how defensive Sayo's playing in the mid lane here, you see him kind of just getting bursted down. Look at his HP. It's like, where are you going to be when lightning strikes there? And Agni just kind of caught out there in the mid lane. Interestingly enough, with that tier 2 Eye of Providence on Sun Wukong here, he's able to put a ward here on the movement speed buff, which he'll spot out Sobek. I like this because it reduces the cooldown a bit, allows him to get more consumables, and allows him to put more wards down. That cooldown came up sooner, so he's to put this up in the enemy jungle and possibly look for an opportunity for Bastet to jump in. Because they have a Bastet jungler, this early vision in the enemy jungle is going to benefit her greatly because she can easily see if the enemy jungler is doing movement speed, jump over the wall, hand of the gods, steal it, jump away, and slow down that early start there. Sayo is going to go back to the base and buy Void Stone 1. No consumables though. Looks like he's going to head back to the base and just come right back to the lane, make sure he doesn't miss out on too much experience or gold. Again, you're going to see Loki up against Raw here in the right side lane. Now, again, like you said, Loki against Ra, not really that great of a matchup. When you change it to be, Loki up against Zalia on Ra, things are also even worse. Now, of course, it is NQ and Zalia, probably the 2 best solo laners in the EU scene, and in top 5 easily. So something that we're looking to keep our eye on. But, of course, it is solo island, and it's something that is few and far between with the kill count going forward. The graphs are completely even. Everything is as it should be. The damage, as far as player damage goes, Artemis seems seems to be the highest on her team, followed by Ra across the way. Zeus doing 927. A rotation from Bastet. Path of Flames. Telesol gets interrupted. A bomb comes down. Bastet backs off on that one. Frostyak not feeling it, and they're going to back off.
Yeah, it's Frostyak able to soak up some XP in the mid lane, though, and does hit level 5. Get some decent harass out of Captain Twig. Why not throw out a dot onto him? I'm a little bit surprised that, NQ is doing as well as he is against Xaylia. Xaylia not really pressuring NQ out of the lane yet. He's still perfectly happy sitting here with a bajillion blue pots and 2 healing pots as well. So NQ ready to stall this thing out for as long as it's going to take. Probably rotating around. I don't think they're going to be able to really secure any kinds of kills onto Xaylia at this point, but they may be able to get a little harass out onto him.
Yeah, I'm trying to just keep him down and keep him in check. Don't want to get him too far forward. We know Xaylia, when things get out of control, and we watched him. Obviously, he was on the spotlight last week for the recall with that snipe there on Raw, so we know what he's capable of. We see Poeng going to go right to rotate over into the mid lane here as Proxy trying to force back Bastet, going to be able to successfully do that. Frostyak now going to go over to his movement speed buff and start that one up. NQ versus Xaylia on the right side. There goes the aim strike activation, looking to push this lane back as much as he possibly can, and looking for that kind of follow-up there. We see Ogden in the mid lane farming up as much as he can, and again, it's a very uncharacteristic passive start here for both these teams. Now, obviously not as aggressive as teams like Denial, though, over there in the NA scene. They like to force the envelope and kind of just make things happen, but at the same time, a very, very passive start starting out, considering the fact that everyone started with pots.
Yeah, a lot of pots. Frostyak getting fairly low here for the Kitty, trying to take this blue buff. Not going to be a big impact, at least forced to recall here. And now we are still waiting on first blood, Dry Bear. 5 minutes into this game, 0-0. No real advantage for either team yet on the charts. And that's got to be going the way of Cloud9, that Artemis made it out of the early game with Red Pot intact. They have the experience advantage in the dual lane. So if there is an advantage to be had, it's probably theirs.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're looking for. Xaylia getting forced on the right side. Guan Yu jumps out. Xaylia might be going down. Pops of the Warriors. The tower gets the kill. No, one more shot will do it. Proxy made the mistake of trying to dive Xaylia, and Xaylia expertly avoids that initiation. Xaylia dropped so very low. Mid lane, 3-man rotation, stun, cats, knock up. There goes the hit. He pops his ultimate, but no detonation available. You can't detonate from the grave. Zeus, as he gets picked off there in the mid lane. The cats are kind of hanging out with their little lightning belts, and they're going to back off there. So not only does Guan Yu fail to dive the right side, Zeus gets 3-manned in the mid lane. And this is what Cloud9 is. They sit on their high horse of confidence, and they wait for something to happen. They look and they expertly find the hole in the play, and they just exploit it as much as they can.
Xaylia doesn't want any of your nonsense. He is completely uninterested in the Guan Yu dive, and just walks away and has a caca chuckle to himself, and is perfectly happy to sit under tower and let him die. So mid lane, Cloud9 kind of tees off on that failed rotation to the right side, goes deep in mid, picks up a kill into Captain Twig, who is sitting on pen boots and a sprint and a purification piece, but unable to survive a death there. And it's a focus voice on up and running rush for Sayo. This feels like home, doesn't it, Dry Bear? No Warlock Sashes in this game so far, and just a lot of pen and burst damage.
Yeah, that's how it's always been. And
want to fight the chicken.
Continue on this time around. They're looking for the chicken yet again. Does he care? This could be a good engagement. There goes a slow assassin. Comes out. No heal. It's on cooldown right now. This might be the kill. It's going to be the kill. Xaylia can't get out of this one. Searing Pain as a Hail Mary, but Proxy was offended by his failed mid lane going from Sayu. Charge Prey after the dash. Desert Fury gets all of the hits. Reals, he didn't miss a single spear, hitting home in the heart of the God of Fire, and gets a 2-0 exchange. TeamQ has answered the call of Cloud9, ladies and gentlemen. C9 got the 2-0 start, and they were upset about it, so TeamQ is going to turn around 2-2, all tied up here. A little bit of lead for TeamQ, but wow, what the plays we've seen today.
Reals, a very interesting player kind of in his path to getting towards top-tier competitive Smite was a kind of, on and off sub for a few teams. He was actually picked by COG to come to China because he was one of the only of age eligible participants in the Hunter role. A lot of young guys in the Hunter role. And so Reals was, kind of old enough and was able to come, so they drafted him onto COG, basically kind of on loan off the waiver wire, so to speak. And I think there he kind of redoubled his interest and desire to really play Smite at a competitive level, and now find himself stationed on TeamQ, a top competitive team in Europe, and really is starting to make a name for himself as a very, very strong, even, premier on her player. Similar to kind of where we saw Smite come from, right? Kind of specializing in these hunter roles after moving around quite a bit. However, Smec always was with Sayo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they seem to follow the same role for long periods of time, no swapping up, and they have a lot of experience to lean on. Loki on the right side has the Vanish activation, make sure he just avoids that engagement by Bastet. No ability to follow him through that Vanish there, so that invisibility will keep him safe. We're going to see RealZ go for the same start we've seen a lot of players start going with now. Heartseeker into the Aussie build. Right side, Zaylia is going to get harassed here by this decoy as Loki is forced to retreat. Divine Blessing is incredibly powerful against melee characters. That slow is so good. Celestial Beam on Loki as he comes out of stealth, as he just bird hops away there in the right side of the lane. Look at the charts again, a slight lead for TeamQ, ever so slight, 400 gold and 900 experience there, 9 minutes, just about 9.5 minutes here into this game so far. Bastet, she's lying in wait, she wants it, she sees the prey. Captain Twig has an inkling, he thinks about it. I mean, the ward is there, so he could have spotted Bastet go in there. The angle may not have been proper, in fact it wasn't, so may not have seen Bastet go through there, but just kind of knowing that Bastet can come out from any angle and then not really looking to give up a second death after having such a poor start. Does have Shoes of the Magi here for the penetration. We see a Breastplate of Valor start there for Zaylia, and that is completed. And honestly, I'm surprised to see him not pick it up sooner, and I guess with the 300 gold start on the Shoes, I'm so used to seeing those being more expensive. But with a Guan Yu jungle and a Loki solo, that double physical, it's guaranteed he starts with that physical protection.
So, I think that red buff sitting on Captain Twig here should be the cue for Cloud9 to go ahead and try to dive him again. If they can wipe that red buff, that means that the team is going to be without that for the moment, but it's going to be Guan Yu, the one that's running into Frosty. Kitty Cats are out. Healing up just a bit is Frosty in the Solar Blessing. They're not going to think better of it, though, as the horse is out, but TeamQ taking a lot of damage from Agni. It's a nice place ultimate from Captain Twig, however, just a second too late. Ross Knight, it's going to hit. Captain Twig in a lot of trouble. Sun Touch in the Summer Sun Cloud. Going to leap out. Has a Jingle Bang. Doesn't need it. Zaylia gets another kill.
Honor rotates over, Smack and Honor going together in the left side area. Looks like Poe's going to find himself in some trouble in the mid lane. Honor rotating over where Loki's going to rotate as well. No follow-up there. Pushing up the mid tower. Zaylia gets the slow. He's going to jump away. Path of Flames comes out. Do they have a stun? There goes Celestial Beam. Loki, Artemis is there. They're jumping over. Do they have the damage? RealZ gets out just in time as that Rainfire comes down. Disperse will get him out of dodge on that one. Honestly, I don't really know why Proxy decided to go in on that one. He put his team in such an awkward position by engaging on that after the fact. You saw, I mean, Captain Twig came and said, okay, my jungler just winded. Got a stun, got some damage output. I'm going to try my best to put down that ultimate, but it's not proper. The timing isn't good. The placement's not there. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. He got one charge on 4 people and detonated with a good chain landing, but again, lost his life to the rotation. It's just, I feel like Proxy kind of put his team in a bad situation there by turning around and jumping in on that team fight after he'd already been initiated on the back end of his cavalry charge. Mid lane stun not gonna land on Proxy. He tries to dash away from that one. Zeus will clear out the wave, and everything goes back to the way it was. But C9 has tied it up dead even right now as far as the golden experience goes. We still, in the semifinal round, ladies and gentlemen, have an even game.
Yeah, I think that it's TeamQ. Their biggest liability right now is Guan Yu jungle. Proxy QQ definitely a very strong player, but he doesn't really have a good target to go on. He can't really fight the chicken under tower. He definitely can't lock down Sayo on the Agni, the dash, making him CC immune. Artemis has the boar to get out of the stuns fairly easily. Wukong just impossible to lock down from any position or in any role. And they just would have been a lot better off with even a jungler like Bastet. I mean, not that often that you're looking at Bastet going like, that would have been the better pick for them, but just pure damage output would have been far superior in this case to, the shred and CC that Guan Yu brings to the table. He just doesn't have much during the laning phase of the game. Now, he will bring a lot more during the kind of the team fight stage, but at this point in the game, it's very, very hard for them to properly utilize his stun.
Left side, some harassment coming back and forth, and I think you're exactly right. I mean, he doesn't really have a good target to go on here. Basset's going to try and find something, not going to be able to get anything there. Both mid camps did go in the way of TeamQ. There goes a Razor Claws on Captain Twig, forcing him away from that one. Left camp will go to C9 as Proxy is now discovering. There goes the world's sharpest broom, slicing through Sun Touch on top of that one. The wards are down. The vision is in favor. Basset diving the mid lane, looking for the Zeus, going to do some damage on it. The Cats are coming out. The Ninetales isn't going to land, and honestly, with the sprint activation, it may be enough. The Cats are still going. The duration, they're not going to get the slow. He's going to be okay on this one. There goes the Cats. They're not going to get it. But Sobek in a lot of trouble here in the melee as well as Guan Yu by himself caught out the slow. There goes the War Horse. Cavalry charge is active. and that extra movement speed while mounting up will give him the activation we need, as we all know, in Arathi base and those kind of things to try to help out there. Mid tower is going to be under pressure. Poling does the best he can defend it. Realsy's in the back line, but this could be a free tower.
Yeah, and with the board there, he just stands there and says, oh, yeah, you wanted to engage? Well, how about persistent ground-based chain stun? How about if I just stand here and do some damage to the tower? And really, that was symptomatic of Cloud9 not investing very much to get Zeus and the Guan Yu basically out of that fight. They still had Boar available, which allowed them to aggress that tower. And they take away quite a bit of its health as well in the meantime. So that tower now a big liability for TeamQ.
Absolutely, and something that they have to really look to remedy going forward if they wanted to pull this game out here. Looking at the graphs, a slight lead for actually TeamQ still, as that mid tower did not end up going down. I was a little shocked to see the graphs that way, and then I realized the tower didn't actually go down there. So it's still a very even matchup right now. Look at that animation, a lot of penetration coming out here from Captain Twig on Zeus. Jotun's Wrath has been started up for Loki, played by NQ, of course. We do have Suntouch picking up tier 2 high to Leviathan, going to the Urchin instead of that Sovereignty start out early. Honestly, a little surprising considering the fact that the main source of damage is going to be Zeus on that magical, but again, it is a lot of damage. Bastet looking for the job. Searing Pain comes out from Zalia, hits on home, and now NQ by himself. Flame Wave, Path of Flames, the kitties are coming out. He's going to be able to get away with his ultimate. The Cats, they're still following. Hexagons comes out with the kitties, man. There's no extra credit here, Cats. Go on home, and they're not going to get the kill there as Realty gets forced out. Do they have the damage pounce to return? The Gold Fury is available, Bart, and they're going to go straight for it.
Yeah, that's one thing about Smite in general, is that player-generated pets do not yield bounties. No experience, no gold given for killing them. So as HyperX is going to secure the Gold Fury, and Plang is going to, well, he's just going to lay on his back there and show his belly to the sun as he is a dead gator. But yeah, so cats don't really give a bounty. So it's really safe for Bastet to just leap in and dump them. And that's why I think maybe you've seen her be prioritized in this tournament, is that she's just so safe at getting in, dumping all of her abilities, and getting out. In fact, she is probably the #1 specialist in that type of play. And she's hard to punish, I think, for that style of play. And so they're just perfectly happy to go for it. And with the kind of double massive burst range poke Zalia combination, Frostyak dictating the pace of the game as Bastet is, while not incredibly surprising, it's certainly not the easiest thing in the world to do to keep the other team off balance with Bastet. She tends to kind of get trumped by a lot of hard CC. If you can catch her before the jump, she's just really paper thin and doesn't have great tools outside of the leap. So, all things told, I think that it's really well executed by Cloud9 and HyperX to get Frostyak this involved, and they're doing a great job of keeping TeamQ off balance.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what they need to do going forward. And honestly, you can see that off balance is what they're looking for, considering their itemization choices. We see 2 rods being rushed here by both Zalia and Sayo. Full CDR build on Zalia, playing Ra, of course, and that rod is almost done. In fact, looking at his gold right now, he just needs just about 900 more gold. Actually, about 600 now, as the gold's getting higher and higher. Zalia about to finish that one off there. And once that rod is done, plus full CDR, those ultimates are going to come out every 45 seconds. Just boom, 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 damage output, plus the heals that he has available. Insane amount of utility Rod's able to put out in mid-game if he gets enough damage and utility. We do see the Rod being started by Sayo as well, extra damage on the back end. And right now, TeamQ really has to be careful, because C9 is playing for the risky skip, right, where you buy those expensive items and they're not worth it until they're done. But if you get to the point where you're not punished until they are done, all of a sudden things change.
Well, Zalia's is done. He's sitting on 1,000 gold in hand right now, so yes, I mean, you can kind of scratch that one. They're not going to be able to stop that timing. You're going to have Rod Hootie Chicken, and he is going to be healing for a lot in these fights. And considering you have double Heartseeker, Frostyak, and Smek, another god, and player that we really haven't paid much attention to this game, but he's had uncontested free farm this entire game, and he is bullying Reels. Even though Reels is up a kill, and taking a look at the farm is only about 500 gold behind, and their builds are basically analogous Warrior Toppy finish here for Artemis, nearly done on Reels, but it seems like Artemis is always going to scale the best out of the hunters into the late game. Passive crit on top of other crit items or pen items just gives her that edge. It's going to be a dive now on this left side tower. Playing going to be the target for now. Kitty Catch used. They're forced to dash away, but that should yield the towers. Artemis is going to activate her attack speed steroid, and that's going to be that. Tower goes down easy peasy while the kitties keep Real Z out of this fight.
Oh, that damage is insane, and they're just not giving up. And, you know, honestly, it's very easy to make that kind of call. You're like, the cats are here. There's no gods. I'm okay. And all of a sudden, 80% of your HP is gone with that penetration that, Bassett's able to put through there. So it's very difficult to be able to deal with that. And like you mentioned, I mean, that's exactly what happened there. Realzy kept out of the fight because of those cats. And, Frostiak able to just throw those out willy-nilly and see what he can do. Proxy gets stunned out. There's transmission. One bomb comes down. The stun. One more hit. Proxy goes down for free again. Loki's assassinate. There goes Sayo in return. Good pickup by NQ. Good rotation. Sun Wukong here in the air, actually coming out from the cloud. The searing pain comes out, doesn't land. NQ, he's wiggling. He can't wiggle enough with 4 players around him. Zeus ultimately getting 1 stack here. Actually, there's some damage on Frosty. Of course, Desert Fairy gets the kill. The cat for cat goes down there. Bassett looking for the opportunity. Does he have it? Artemis is already down 2 for 2 so far. Now going for Zalia. Does have a heal? No! The lightning strike goes down. Suntouch impaled to a wall, and now being speared left and right. Does he have enough mana for the transformations? Knock up the disperse. Does he have the beads? Activates the beads. Strangely enough,
expecting knock up.
Looking for that there. There goes the net on top of that. Looking for the opportunity. Suntouch trying to get out. Pops the bird. Zeus, does he have it? One chain letting hit that detonate. Beautiful, beautiful play.
That was really handsome play. Captain Twig just shows off his impeccable teeth and quaff and jawline and just throws out a chain lightning, no problem. Picks up a kill onto Sun Wukong. And Sun Wukong, as Frostiak just says, yeah, well, I'm good too. But, Sun Wukong is just incredibly annoying to kill. Gets the damage reduction when he gets low, gets passive crit, has the bird, and it's just so easy to tilt against. So you're like, I know he's going to get away. Like, you got to think that whole time Reels is sitting there like, I know he's getting away. I know he's going to get away. This sucks. Like, I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to pop my bead so it doesn't knock me up, but I know he's getting away. But they're able to secure him, and that's definitely a good win for the team. And before we go too far, Captain Twig, he's going for the Mail of Stealth. It's going to be Mail of Renewal. Zeus here. He wants the extra physical protection. It'll definitely help against Bastet. And if we've seen anything, we know that this item is definitely potent when purchased on the right gods at the right time. However, I am not convinced that 20 minutes on Zeus as your 4th item is that right timing.
Again, we're in the same situation where I feel like a lot of the damage output here is going to be reliant on Zeus, especially those big team fight origins. Now, it does have a good amount of penetration, and of course, the multiplier effect will help him out a lot as Smek and Suntouch try to start up the Gold Fury. Pogan's going to turn around and goes, excuse me? You're doing my Gold Fury? You leave now, as he counterwards that and walks away from that. So Poing, very sharp and astute, able to hear that through the jungle, of course. But again, the MLC of Renewal here is going to be picked up for the Captain Twig on Zeus, looking for that CDR, a little bit of HP, and heals up once he gets that assist or kill. Of course, every time he picks it up, that it will benefit him greatly and make sure that he stays alive in those engagements. I mean, look at the damage numbers right now. The player damage charts for TeamQ will be resulting in a high amount for Zeus, 8,300 damage. In fact, that's going to be the most in the game. 8,000 on Sayo, 7,800 on Frostiak, and Smek doing 7,200 himself. So, a good split there, but limited on TeamQ.
That's a big deal that Artemis has gotten that involved at this point in the game. 2 assists, 1 death to her name, but does have 8,000 or 7,000 player damage coming out. That means that the rotation's been spot on. They put a lot of harass out onto that side lane. Frostiak, as well, as you mentioned, really getting up there in the 7,800 player damage ranks. I mean, that's a lot for Bastet and really putting that cat scratch and the kitties to work. Suntouch going to stun out Poang here on the backside. It looks like they're trying to get Frostiak in a position to get a gank on the Reels. Reels is going to hit a very, very nice pin, disperse away, and start running. Smek has a sprint activated. Suntouch is here as well. Jingabang comes out, knocking out another transformation for a few seconds. Leaping in still is Frostiak, but they realize that they don't have it. The rotation's coming up too strong from TeamQ.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, good pick there by Realzy, just spotting out exactly what was happening and just going all the way down. And sometimes you feel it coming, right? You step too far forward, you're like, I'm out of position, and you just turn and beeline as far as you can, as fast as you can, and Realzy's going to be able to make it out on that one. Gold Fury is available. C9 really wants his Gold Fury, but just can't get in to get it. TeamQ is in place at all times. Now, we do still see a 3,500 gold lead here for C9 as a Ninetales Razor Claws combination on the Gator is going to force him back on that one. C9 still in the lead. Gold Fury is what they're looking for. The rods have been completed here on Sayo and Zalia. That damage up is going to be insane. Stun, Poang taking some harassment. Sickening strike for the heal. Charges into a minion. There goes this little Razor Claws comes out here. Needs a little bit more. Poang is going to survive. Impale. Desert Fairy Frostiak goes down. Loki is here. His daggers are bred and born for enemy destruction. He's going to be able to get that pick off on Frostiak for free, actually. A 1-for-0 exchange. They thought they had Poang, but he's pretty tanky.
Yeah, the 2 rounds of Hooties are done now going into this fight. Sayo just recently completing his. So the damage is real from Cloud9. And really, it's if Team Q wants to go for a Gold Fury and Zalia and Sayo are alive, and that should be really, really ugly. I mean, Cloud9 should just destroy this fight. This is the situation right here we're talking about. Agni Bombs are going to hurt really, really bad here. Let's see what they're able to do. Team Q looks like they want to fight this, interestingly enough. They're going to pluck Sun Touch, but he's going to go right up into Somersault Cloud. Sun Touch trying to, to find some really space for his team as they're going to crush that decoy now. It's Smek on the backside for some beads out as Proxy goes deep. Now it's going to be Ra and Agni looking for a way to re-engage, but they need to wait for the front line to come back. But they're so busy on this left side. In fact, they're going to die to the Suze ultimate here. Sun Touch going to die to the detonate. In fact, Reels is going to be the one to secure that. Now it's going to be NQ going in on the Zalia. Sayo still alive, but they pluck Sayo. This could be big. He's popped the beats. He's dashing through. He's killed with the execute from your boy, the Ra. But Zalia with the snipes. Is it going to be enough, though? Trying to run now is Real. Zalia, do you have the damage? Hits him with the beam and the detonate, and down will go the Honor. So much damage from Ra. And even though this looked to be Team Q's fight, Zalia has turned this very, very much in favor of Cloud9. It's a 3-for-3. Bastet and Ra surviving, Loki and Sobek. So actually, I'll take that back. Team Q wins that fight. They don't sacrifice. Well, no. I'm sorry. Cloud9 wins it. They sacrifice their support in favor of getting another core, whereas Poang survives that one. So all things sold, Zalia kind of salvages that one for Cloud9.
Yeah, absolutely. And one little mechanic thing that I want to point out for those of you who missed it or weren't really paying complete attention to the skills being utilized by Zalia, you see he has full CDR, of course, 15% on the shoes and 25% on the breastplate, about hitting 40% going to be the cap there. So he's maxed out on the CDR. Sees the Gold Fury being started up. And what he did during that fight, as C9 gets the Gold Fury, Poang unable to get in there in time, able to rotate around. So 5K goal lead. Loki looking for something. He's going to find it. Aim strike, vanish. He's going to back off. Doesn't look like he wants this just yet. But again, the tier 3 purification beads has, when you activate them, reduces all your cooldowns by 5 seconds. So what you saw there is Zalia position himself beautifully. He backs up, right? Goes around the backside of the gold or the mid Furies, and then rotates around so he has a perfect line of sight for a Searing Pain to hit everyone in the line, getting a kill instantly and forcing Zeus down. Gets the kill on Zeus, and then rotates forward. Once he drops his Celestial Beam, Divine Blessing, Solar Blessing, puts that all down on the ground, pops the beads, and honestly there was nothing affecting him. He just wanted the CDR reduction, 5-second reduction, immediately does all 3 skills again, which was what he needed to finish off on her. If he didn't activate those beads just for the CDR reduction, he would not have gotten that kill on her. So beautiful textbook play there coming out from Zalia, able to get that kill and salvage that fight like you mentioned. They're going to turn around, get a Gold Fury, and all of a sudden their 3,500 gold lead that they were sitting on prior is now 5,000, and they drop the stacks on her. They force back Captain Twig with that MLC of Renewal, Proxy QQ with that penetration. You see Zalia actually picked off in the right lane with that burst damage as we're singing his praises.
Yeah, physical burst still, you can't, it's really still pretty hard to deal with Loki and Guan Yu combining in a solo lane. Now we're kind of at the point where the lanes are broken and Guan Yu's going to be a lot more effective against the Ra as they're going to be looking less for that rotation now. We do want to point out that there's a Weakening Curse finish here on a Proxy QQ that should be able to cut the healing and extended engagements. You're also going to have an Idol of Concentration coming out for Sun Touch, so that cooldown reduction and crowd control reduction coming out. As well as, speaking of crowd control reduction from beads, 4 rank 3 beads active on Cloud9 HyperX. Their cooldowns are going to be shorter, and it's going to be very hard to lock this team down during a fight.
Yeah, and something that they have to be really careful about here, because the Fire Giant is available, and it could end the game, honestly, if it doesn't really go in either team's favor, because there's so much available. I mean, C9, if they go for this, they certainly could get it. Right side tower is being pressured here. Tier 1, Bastet jumps over the wall. Proxy being forced back here. Razor Claws coming out. Bastet jumps right back into the camp. Poang trying to rotate over. Nope, they're just going to let that one go. So a 3,000 gold there for Team Q, and much deserved. I mean, obviously you see with the kill on Zalia, they get the kill on the tower, getting the extra gold across the way. That step function going up and up and up back towards the mid line here. 2,500 gold in favor of C9 still, but Team Q showing signs of life, and that Fire Giant is going to be a huge point of contention for both these teams, and they're both gunning for it.
Yeah, it's been a nice last, let's say, 8 minutes or so For Team Q, they've cut the lead down by about 1,000 gold. They're starting to get a little bit more map control. NQ will have his cooldown reduction capped here pretty shortly with Hydra's Lament and his Jotun's Wrath 3, and with the beads, of course, able to cut those cooldowns really, really far down. So a couple of max CDR builds with beads 3 out on the board here. That's going to, allow for abilities to come off cooldown probably earlier than the players are going to be expecting. We'll see if that, does really factor in towards the later stages of the game. Loki, of course, also going into Hydra's Lament for the added burst damage that it brings. It's some kind of physical Polynomicon-esque ability. We do have a pause coming out from Proxy QQ here, so we'll of course get that sorted with the admins and make sure that all is well. But as you can tell, at this point in the game, it is still a slight advantage for Cloud9 HyperX.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, they're sitting on currently a 2,700 gold lead, and the graph is kind of again going up and down. In the beginning, it was very, very even until that point where C9 had a huge lead forward. They got the tier 1 tower in the mid lane, and then went straight for the Gold Fury, and everything went in their favor. And then, of course, they got the Gold Fury again, going up to 5,000 gold. But TeamQ turns it around. 2,700 gold is a lot better to sit on than a 5,000 gold behind previously for TeamQ. Looks like the pause is still underway here. It's going to be just a couple minutes, actually, surprisingly enough. Looks like there are some issues coming out for looks like DC from Poang is the issue that we're running into right now. 20 minutes into this match, we're 12-12. The kills are lined up, but of course the gold is still in favor of C9. Looking at the tower situation, you can see the towers are actually all tied up, surprisingly enough, Bart. We have 2 tier 1s down for both teams, which means that this gold lead right now is purely just fundamentals, farming the camps, farming the minions, and then Gold Fury objective securing. 2,700 gold is honestly at this point in the game not all that much. It could swing either way if the team fight goes RA for either of these teams, and it really goes to show that TeamQ has been putting in the work to try and shut down the giant that is C9 that's been in the finals every single week.
Well, they had Cloud9 had about a 3,500 gold advantage with a 2 towers advantage up. So TeamQ comes back, they take those 2 towers to parity, but Cloud9 built another 1,000 gold on top of that lead before, right? If you follow the math, 3,500 now reduced to 1,500, but they're still up 2,500, which means they've just taken an extra 1,000 gold off the map, and that's what's really got to be worrisome for Team Q here, as that Gold Fury is the likely candidate, is that Cloud9 is still ahead, even though they've pulled the towers back to even. Of course, they're whittling down the lead, but at this point in the game, a minute 30 for Gold Fury to be back up. I'm sorry, it seems like Cloud9 is dictating the pace of the game for the moment, and I think that the change can come on the back of NQ and Proxy. They need to get that combination running some more. They found the kill onto Ra, but Agni really needs to be their target. They really should start shutting down Sayo and making sure that he is not really feeling quite as confident in these fights.
Yeah, and really that confidence is what makes every single role, not just his, really, really important, is the fact that you have to be able to land those abilities. And time again, you'll see characters like Hunters who kind of have that hesitation to go in all the way and commit to the fight. And really that damage is really what's so important. Sometimes you're going to pick up idle concentration here just to shut down a lot of the CC and damage they're going to be able to follow up with, of course, magic protection, MP5, CDR, and of course the damage mitigation for 3 seconds when you're hit by a hard crowd control ability. So when he gets shut down, he can keep himself alive with that 3-second duration, reducing his damage by percentage base. Railsy's going to finish off that Malice for extra crit potential, just going as hard as he can. Honestly, he needs a lot more pen than he has now. Honestly, just pen coming out from the Weird Tali and the static coming out from the Aussie as well. So that's most likely going to be his next focus. Possibly could go for the Deathbringer as well, but that's the main thing he's lacking right now.
What do you think about the Poang build? Look at that thing. A lot of 2-2s.
Yeah, that's kind of characteristic of him. Him and a couple other support players in EU especially like it. 1,200 gold for the Pestilence for 45 magic protection and 200 health. That's incredibly powerful. Again, Oracle Hope just about 1,500 itself, but it's at 300 HP, 40 magical. He's just going for stats. The passes aren't really what he's working for, especially considering the fact that Sobek has such high stat gains as it is. So just kind of leveraging on that. They're so cheap, and I think Pestilence is one that you almost always just pick up as tier 2 because it's so freaking. 1,200 gold for that much stats. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's true. But they could definitely use the Pestilence passive here. They are going up against a Ra. Granted, they do have Weakening Curse to completely shut down the healing, but
fair point.
It definitely couldn't hurt. You do have some lifesteal out on Smek as well, so maybe it'll shut down a little bit here. Real's going to get zoned out of the Gold Fury as Cloud9 HyperX will take it for free. But in the meantime, Team Q, they want to go big. They're going to try for a Fire Giant. They're going to think better of it, though, as Sayo comes walking around the corner, finished a lot of items as well. Sitting on Breastplate of Valor, Rata Tahuti, Ra has Rata Tahuti, Obsidian Shard, and the Focus Void Stone. That double snipe, if you're stuck in the Fire Giant and Cloud9 knows you're there, don't expect to survive.
Yeah, I mean, if you step out of place and get locked down, whether it be an Agni stun or something that locks you out, a good stun from Sun Touch, all it takes is a second. I mean, just boom, 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 all of a sudden the fire and the light are just gonna come through and burn everything out. Free tier 1 tower on the right side just goes down. C9 sees the opportunity. TeamQ out of position there as they had previously tried the Fire Giant impact off from that one, so not gonna be able to pick that one up. And 31 minutes into this game, Bart, we're gonna see 5,000 gold in favor of C9 yet again because of that tower situation. They're 1 tower behind on TeamQ, but the Fire Giant's really what they're looking for.
How do you justify sovereignty on Guan Yu at this stage in the game? Just seems like they're not going to have the damage output to deal with Sayo and Xaylia in these team fights. I mean, Frostiak will put out a lot of his own Smek, of course, a late game damage monster with Artemis. Wukong brings the control, and then you have the massive burst mages. You just need more damage output out of your jungler here.
I don't like it mainly because Sovereignty does not stack. Things like Mystical Mark do, but Sovereignty's passive does not. So basically what they're going to have to do with this, and this is something that does happen, is it will prevent them from being able to stack completely, because if they want to get the most effectiveness out of that aura, they're basically going to want to split up the team fight, right? They want to have them in different areas so that aura spreads out more over the team fight. They have some good engagements across the board for them, and that's really what they're looking for if they're going to go down that road. Honestly, there are better options if you already have a Sovereignty. You have, that nice mail that allows them to get slows off. You have some really good rotations there. Higher than enemy line would reflect damage back into some good passives that you can pick up other than the Sovereignty for the second time. Owen kind of get started up here, dashing away. Artemis looking for opportunity. There goes the volley slowed on Captain Twig. Doesn't take a whole lot with that Aegis Shield activation, which does provide protections from. The Fire Giant is available. The vision is there. Proxy is on weed duty as he's just gardening through and removing all the vines from the ground right now. 33 minutes about to start up. We might have a Fire Giant or a possible engagement.
Yeah, it looks like TeamQ has the better positioning at Fire Giant, but they've overextended a little bit here as NQ in some trouble getting zoned out by Sun Touch Force. Oh my god, what a snipe! Xaylia, how do you do it?
I don't know. Continue on. Zeus ultimate coming on the ground. Proxy gets sent out by the board. Tusky doing work. Someone caught up in the air. Burst damage. There goes Guan Yu. C9 pushing it down. Go after Captain Twig. Razor Claws on the ground. Desert Fury is available. Impale comes out going for Frostiak. Xaylia, he blocks it. He blocks it again. Xaylia saves Frostiak's life with his own body. Hoeing is the remaining survivor. C9, they didn't lose a single person, and then Agni jumps out, hits the Path of Flames for the distance, and bombs down Sobek. That was a 5-0 exchange. How did they survive? Xaylia body blocked every shot from on her for Frostiak with 1 hit left. How do they do it?
I don't know. I want to like end the game and just have story time with Xaylia, and I just want to learn what he knows. I mean, what a snipe. I mean, just such a brilliant positioning there in that fight as well. Knows that Loki is being zoned out, has great communication there with Sun Touch, and just really places that very, very nice. And it looks like they're going to go ahead and wipe up, the mid Phoenix. They're going to take the rest of the towers off of the map here. And that was just, I mean, you don't see that every day. And again, here to talk about itemization, such a smart buy here from Sayo. It's going to be a late game Spear of the Magus. And in fact, that's why you saw him kill the Sobek there. The dot ticking up with that Spear of the Magus enough to finish him off. So Titan's Bane coming out for Smek. Great itemization at this stage of the game. Allows him to do more damage to the Titan as well as the remaining towers and Phoenixes. All things told, double sovereignty, not pulling weight currently for TeamQ. They still melted in that fight.
I was going to say words, but I'm still thinking about how in the world Frostiak managed to survive with just Xaylia standing in front of him. He got impaled to the wall, ate the entire Desert Fury. RealZ played that by the book, right? Like everything that RealZ was supposed to do, he did it. Missed no basic attacks, gets the impale off on Bastet in the back end of a team fight and could turn it around. He just needs 1 shot. Frostiak was 1 hit away, and Xaylia's like, nah, bro, this is my friend. You just step off
how do you
here,
deal with 1,000 magical power between the Agni and the Ra?
I don't know.
How do you even begin to approach that? And when you look at like a half-finished bulwark being your major magic protection item in this game, TeamQ has just really failed in itemization. They knew that these Ratapahuis were coming out 20 minutes ago, and yet you still don't see very much magic protection. I mean, sure, Poing has stacked it up pretty high, has Pestilence Finish in Bulwark 2, but Proxy, I mean, instead of Sovereignty, he could have done so much more for his team here with a Bulwark able to stay in these front lines. I mean, sure, he's going to get shredded, but this team fight, as you see as it rages on, Xaylia just obliterates Loki forces NQ out of the fight. Here's Suntouch going deep. They've zoned out Reels and Proxy QQ with just Frostiak, and they just don't have enough damage to bring anyone down. Guan Yu just tickling. And Suntouch is able to run around with impunity, zoning out the rest of the team. They're going to try to dive in, but the Agni Bombs are too much to force a fall back. Phoenix is going to fall dry bear, and this one looks like it's Cloud9's game.
Suntouch forced to get out of there with bird form. I mean, Real Z is just earning his stripes right now. Gets in, he picks off the Artemis. That's going to be the only kill of that fight there for TeamQ. They're going to trade Poeng on Sobek for that Phoenix there. And now because Poeng is down, they know they have a free Gold Fury. Tier 3 Hand of the Gods has been removed from the equation. Suntouch is still alive. So now the Gold Fury is going to go down for some extra gold, adding insult to injury to TeamQ as C9 pulls even further ahead. 12.7 they're at right now. It's going to turn into about 14,100 when the Gold Fury is done here for C9. Cloud9 HyperX proving their sponsorship. You see 14,000 gold in the lead suddenly, and it's just those small plays that they're so fantastic at. And the itemization is right on par. We've seen that idle concentration work so well for Suntouch going forward. Every single time he gets plucked, thrown back, that CC activation forces the 15% damage mitigation for 3 seconds, plus the extra protections he has on the back end. The MP5 honestly helps him keep his mana up as well. Not only that, but Suntouch is single-handedly zoning out 2 or 3 of the players on TeamQ, forcing back Zeus, forcing back Loki. I mean, Loki, in 2 of the last 3 fights, Bart, Loki has been forced to initiate on Suntouch because he can't get to anyone else.
Yeah, that's right. And he's able to put out a lot of damage on the Suntouch nonetheless. I mean, Witchstone really the only major physical protection item outside of the standard Sovereignty. Height of the Urchin contributing some as well. So, I mean, it does decent damage to him, but it's definitely not the target you want to burst down. And now Zaylia is sitting on the Breastplate of Valor and a Height of the Nemean Lion, so he is pretty much right out in terms of initiation. Sayo as well. Magic's Blessing going to keep him safe. Breastplate of Valor going to really prevent him from being bursted, and he has Purification Speed to get out of the dodge. It's going to be a girdle of support as well for Sayo, so they smell blood here, and Cloud9 is looking for the win. One more team fight should do it if they're able to secure it. NQ is going to get hit by 1 meteor, 2 meteor, 3 meteor, not going to tick down, but is out of this fight. Cloud9 is going to push this one through. Magical Power on Agni, 381, 419 for Ra, and they are looking for the victory.
And it's going to be closer for TeamQ. This is full turtle mode right now. The Fire Giant buff is going to come up here in about 20 seconds, but they don't really care about that. Sayo so low. Sayo's actually going to go down, possibly. Just need a little more damage. Sayo does go down. Poeng's going to get the kill on that one. 1-for-1 exchange so far. Poeng quite low. Artemis goes down. Loki doing work. Look at the Celestial Beam and the basic attack during Vanish. Zaylia gets a blind shot to kill off Loki. It's a 3-for-2, ladies and gentlemen. Cloud9 HyperX turns it around there. Frostiak escapes just barely there. A great counter initiation by TeamQ, but C9 is hard to beat with that. My God, how did he do so much damage so quickly? NQ just melted.
90,000 player damage between Zaylia, Sayo, and Smek right now. It's just so much. I mean, and when you look at 23k being the top damage on Captain Twig, and he's sitting, behind Sayo and pretty close to Zaylia and Smek, and the rest of the team, you have members of TeamQ sitting under 10k damage. Poeng basically even here with Suntouch. It's just, they just aren't putting on anywhere near the same amount of damage, and it's really reflected in the items. I mean, it is still possible. I mean, you could have a finished Deathbringer here onto NQ. Reels is pretty much 6-slotted. They have a chance. It's not a very big one, but there's a chance. I mean, they still have, tremendous damage output in this game, and it just has maybe too little too late. I mean, it's a lot, but it's 40 minutes in, and you have big-time defensive items on really the targets you want to burst.
Yeah, and they really have to be careful about that. And one thing we haven't talked about yet, just Bart, is the 21.5k healing done by Zaylia as well. That Solar Blessing is helping out a lot, and honestly, that Pestilence, that being done, of course, was so they're able to get that aura inside. Of course, reduces healing and regeneration by 15%. Honestly, would have liked to see we do see actually a weakening curse down on Proxy QQ to counter out that healing there. Plus, the Pestilence is going to help out a lot. Maybe even I mean, it's hard because if you go for something like a Divine Rune or Brawler's Beat Stick, you're limiting your damage output, and they need damage, every little shred of damage they can get right now. Across the way, looking at the consumables there for C9, we see 3 Sentry Wards, 5 Standard Wards, 2 Pots, as well as, oh my. He has an Elixir of Defense on Zaylia. He has a Magic Pot and an Elixir of How do you kill the chicken if he has a 3,000 gold defensive pot?
You try to deal with his 285 physical protection and 150 magic protection on top of his 2,000 health. And, massive heal that he brings to the table. So, long answer, very complicated. Short answer, you don't.
crits. Real Z looking for that kill there. Sun Touch forced it back up. The Fire Giant buff is active. This is going to be the final stand for TeamQ. They have to push C9 away. We've known that they can do it. They got those kills in the last game. They just try to force it out here. Initiation comes out of Poing. There goes Proxy QQ taking a lot of damage here. Look at him take damage through the bomb comes down. There goes Proxy. Burst out. Captain Twig is going to go down to the Razor Claws. Bastet gets out. Cool Cats don't look at explosions there. There goes the Flame Wave, going to avoid it with a dispersed Realzy, making plays. The bomb not going to come out. Realzy's working so hard right now, man. The damage output is there. He has everything that he has, but 5 versus 1. One cat is all that stands between them. The Titan of Order will fall. Cloud9 HyperX takes the semifinal round and goes to the finals for the 3rd week in a row. Wow.
Cloud9 HyperX proving that they are the team to beat in this region, at least in this tournament. I mean, what a performance that was. Zalia's Ra. Okay, so we talk about Raz. We see Raz picked often in tournament play, most regularly in the solo lane. And generally, when you see Ra picks, you start talking about things like their push is going to be strong, their damage output going to be a little bit lower, they're going to have maybe a hard time really, bursting down gods without that snipe hitting, but they will have the extra sustain. They're going to be looking to take extended team fights. Yeah, no, not this case. Zalia doesn't play that. Zalia says, how about I build Rod as a Hootie 3rd item, and I throw out, just a casual 25,000 player damage in this game, and basically completely take it over and dictate its pace completely. They were able to shut down Sio fairly well, was TeamQ, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter because Zalia was just ripping through the ranks. And Frostiak. I mean, Frostiak was like doing such work on Bastet, but doesn't really even get much credit or deserve much of it because he was really just jumping in and dumping his spells while Zalia was running around just wreaking complete havoc.
One thing we can say about Frostiak, though, is the fact that he is very